Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. We're so glad to have you here with us today. If you're new here, we delve into the fascinating and sometimes eerie world of paranormal investigations and mysteries. Before we dive into today's chilling tale, we want to remind you to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss out on any of our thrilling content. And if you enjoy our videos, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share with your friends. It really helps us out and allows us to continue bringing you these captivating stories. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's story. Prepare to be thrilled and chilled. A dark night fell over a small town in the heart of America. The streets were empty, and only the wind whispered its secrets, seeping through the cracks of old houses. In the center of the town stood an old mansion, which the locals avoided even during the day. It was said that something ominous dwelled in this house. One day, a group of teenagers decided to check these rumors. They armed themselves with flashlights and courage, and at midnight they entered the mansion. The house seemed empty and abandoned, but the deeper they penetrated its depths, the stronger they felt someone's presence. In one of the rooms, they discovered an old portrait of a woman. The eyes in the portrait seemed alive, and they followed every movement of the teenagers. Suddenly, the light from the flashlights went out, and the room plunged into darkness. When the light came back on, the portrait had disappeared. Fear gripped the teenagers, and they decided to leave the house. But the doors were locked, and the windows tightly shuttered. They were trapped inside with an unknown entity that now controlled their fate. They tried to find a way out, but the house seemed like a labyrinth. Eventually, they discovered a basement where they found an old book. The book was full of strange symbols and drawings, and the teenagers realized that it was a book of spells. They decided to use one of the spells to leave the house, but instead of helping them, the spell awakened the spirit that dwelled in the house. It was evil and vengeful, and it began to hunt the teenagers. They ran around the house, trying to escape from the spirit. But one by one, they disappeared, until only one was left. He found an exit and managed to escape, but his friends never returned. Since then, every night in the old mansion you can hear whispers and moans, and no one dares to enter, fearing to become the next victim of the spirit of the old mansion. Several years had passed since that terrifying nocturnal adventure. The only surviving teenager, now a grown man, decided to return to the town and unravel the mystery of the old mansion. He hired a team of paranormal investigators and armed himself with everything necessary to fight the spirits. They entered the mansion and began their investigation. Soon they discovered that the spirit dwelling in the house was the spirit of the woman from the portrait. She was a witch who had been accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake many years ago. She had vowed to take revenge, and her spirit was trapped in the mansion. The investigators tried to communicate with the spirit, but it was too strong and aggressive. They began to use various methods and rituals to banish the spirit, but it only became stronger. In the end, they decided to use the most powerful technique of exorcising spirits. They formed a circle of candles and began to read a spell. The spirit began to rage, the whole house started to shake, and the wind howled around the mansion. Suddenly, everything went quiet. The investigators thought they had managed to banish the spirit, but then they heard a soft whisper. They turned around and saw the witch standing right in front of them. She smiled a sinister smile and said, "You thought you could banish me. Now you will become my prisoners, just like those teenagers many years ago." And at that moment, the light went out and everything plunged into darkness. When the light returned, the researchers found that they were in a different place. They stood in the center of a small village, which seemed abandoned. Everything around was quiet, and only the wind whispered its secrets. "Where are we?" asked one of the researchers. "I think this is the past," replied the lead researcher. "The witch transported us to the past, to a time when she was alive." They decided to explore the village and find a way to return home. Soon they met an old woman who turned out to be the witch. She was kind and friendly, and they told her about their situation. "I know you came from the future," she said. "I know what will happen to me, and I know you came to stop me. But I cannot change my fate. I was accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake. My spirit was trapped in the mansion, and I vowed to take revenge." "But we can help you," said the lead researcher. "We can change the past and prevent your death." The witch smiled and said, "I appreciate your offer, but I cannot change my fate. But I can help you return home." She gave them an old spell book and said, "This spell will transport you back to your time. But remember, you cannot change the past. You can only learn from its lessons." The researchers read the spell, and they returned to their time. They left the mansion and found that it had become a regular old house. The spirit of the witch disappeared, and she found her peace. They realized that they could not change the past, but they could change the future. They decided to use their knowledge and experience to help others and prevent similar events in the future.